Hey, you ready? Hey. Hello and welcome to episode 2 of the Dogs and Mental Health podcast. My name's Emma. I hope you're all well. On today's podcast, we're going to be talking about the exciting time when you get a new dog in your life. However, did you know that there's a 333 rule on decompression or decompressing for a dog when they actually come to your house or to come to live with you? Now, this isn't the same for all dogs, obviously. Same as ourselves, they have their own character and they have their own time scale, and some take less, some take more. Some dogs literally come in, house is theirs, they're like, yeah, love it, and they're fine. Obviously, you've got to train them and everything, but they don't always have that sort of settling time. However, some dogs, and specifically a lot of rescues, but it doesn't have to just be rescue dogs. They have this thing where they have it's 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months. Yeah. So the 3 days is basically when they come in. They're scared, they're unsure, they don't know who you are really. They don't know if they're going to be taken somewhere else. You don't know. Maybe you don't know their background, so maybe they've had, maybe they've had other homes, or maybe they've been abandoned. Maybe they've never had a home, so they could be thinking, "Oh, how long is this going to last?" And within that time, where they're decompressing, it's they're feeling quite vulnerable. They need their own space. It's so important. Now, I know a lot of people use crate training. I'm not going to say anything bad against crate training. I've never used it myself. I know that can be really good for dogs that are anxious, that have separation anxiety. It's or like destroying your house sometimes because dogs do that. Not all of them. We're very fortunate with ours that they don't do that. However, with or without the crate training, they need to have their own space. So if you've got a crate, you make it nice, put the bed in there. You don't want to put too much in there straight away. You don't want it to be too overwhelming for them. You don't want to be forcing them in there either. So you just maybe put a couple of treats in there, like a lead of treats going in, unless you've got other animals around. Try and keep them away from it. Just because you want them to know that that is their space. If in future the other animals go in there, that's fine, that's what they do. But initially, that's what we're looking for, creating a safe space where you need to be patient. You don't want to be going over to them all the time. I know it's super exciting. I get dead excited about dogs, all dogs, not my dogs. I love them, and I can't help it. Get dead excited when I was out. So if I was getting a new dog, I'd be beside myself. But we've got to keep that in, because it's not necessarily the same for the dog. I mean, it could be, and it'd be lovely, and all over that. But they've all been through their own thing, or they've all got their own character, like I say. So they need that time, and you want them to come to you. So you don't want to be going over and like trying to stroke them, trying to get them to come over to you and all this. A little bit of encouragement, no problem, but nothing too much. So within those first 3 days, you sort of, they're feeling that out, like, okay, maybe they'll come over a bit, maybe they'll be like sniffing around and like the food's on the go and stuff. Then we go into the next phase, which is 3 weeks. And this is where they sort of get to know you, your routine, what you do, where do you sleep, where do they sleep, what do you do in the morning, what time do you get up, when do they get fed, and when do they go for walks, how often do they go for walks, all the usual kind of stuff. Dogs are very routinist, very much so. So if you can try to keep, and I know it's difficult sometimes, especially if you're doing like shift work, or if you just you can't have a routine for whatever reason's going on in your life at the time, really try to have a general sort of routine. It doesn't have to be super strict. It doesn't have to be like, right, we do this at 7 and this at 9 and blah, blah, blah. It doesn't have to be like that at all. But they need to know, like, they're going to get fed. Obviously, they're going to get fed, but they're going to get fed. They're going to go for a walk. They're going to do these things. They need to roughly when those things are going to happen. And it's that it just settles them, because sometimes, especially with the rescue dog, it's been hectic for them. They've not had any structure. They've not had routine. They've not had people caring for them. So what you're looking for there is just to give them that, because whilst it might not seem too important, it actually really helps with the bond and the trust, because the trust is so important. They start to trust you. They know that you're going to be, oh, they leave at this time and they come back at this time, or they only leave me for so long and they will come back. I mean, there's a lot of that, especially when you start doing that initially. You only want to be doing that for a few minutes. You're leaving them by themselves. So it is difficult. You want to have like a chunk of time where you can, spend with them, but then without them for their own sake. Because if you stay in the house all the time for like a week, and then you go off to work, they're going to be like, what the hell? What's happened? And that's when you start having the accidents. That's when they could be, chewing things and that. You want to see how they're actually driven as well. So do they like toys more? Do they like balls? Do they like soft toy? Like the tougher ones? Some of them say that they're indestructible, but a lot of them, they just rip right through them. We get like the Kongs where you put the food in, and it takes some time to get that out. So it's about mental stimulation as well. You're looking at two things, but you want to see what is it that they're really looking prefer treats sometimes. So like with Jasper, doesn't really play with toys. He loves treats. Very, very treat orientated. Can't even say that word. And so we just did all our stuff with that. Initially did like the toys, and then you kind of realised he could play with us. Wanted to play with us. It's like, mouth, like it's not nasty, but mouth us. Excuse me. And then he wanted to, interact with us instead. And he still doesn't realise that we can't do all the running and everything, so we will see. Anyway, so during that period of time, these are the things that can really help. It can also help when you're out to have like background noise. So it could be like the radio, a bit of music, nothing too loud, something like that. So within those 3 weeks, like I say, that they're building, or together, you're building the trust. You're getting to know them, they're getting to know you. They're getting to see the routine, they're getting to see that you do come back, they're getting to see the things with like maybe, I don't know, maybe your circumstance, maybe you might be the only person in your house and you're interacting with the dog one-on-one. You could have, partner, family, who else they see, and they'll see like how you are and stuff. And the other thing is to, positive reinforcement, so important. Keeping your voice sort of, like a little bit higher, so that when you're talking to them, make sure you're saying the name regularly. Make sure that you're popping them outside, for when they need, regularly for like toilet. You can start off by putting like a wee mat sort of down, near the door. And if they look like they're going to go somewhere else, put them over there, and then gradually that go outside. It all depends on what's happened beforehand. And again, how each dog sort of, is, how they learn.